Hello and welcome to the Webcast for Monday, March 30th. I'm South Ops meteorologist Jonathan O'Brien. Visible satellite this morning shows increasing mid- and high-level cloud cover moving off the Pacific and over California. The increased high-altitude cloudiness is often a sign of an approaching weather system, and that will likely be the case this time as a couple of approaching frontal systems over the Pacific will finally bring an end to the historic stretch of hot weather we've been experiencing. High pressure is still largely in control of our weather today, and that's going to keep us on the warm side. However, with that high now weakening and shifting east, and combined with the increase in clouds, temperatures will fall several degrees today. We'll still remain several degrees above normal, but it'll be more in the way of low to mid-80s in the valleys as opposed to the upper 80s and 90s that have dominated much of this month. Increasing westerly flow will start to bring the humidity up as well, especially towards the coast, but most areas across the interior will still see minimum humidities down in the 12 to 25% range today. As these weather systems approach, onshore flow will be increasing the next couple of days, and southwest to northwest winds of 20 to 30 miles per hour with gusts to 50 miles per hour and locally higher will surface across the mountain ridges and desert passes from this afternoon all the way through Thursday evening. The upper air maps for this week show that our massive ridge of high pressure is finally leaving us this week, to be replaced by at least a temporary Pacific troughing pattern. There's really two main troughs involved here, but unfortunately the relief they bring is going to be pretty limited. That's because the first trough, which will move directly over us on Tuesday and Wednesday, is very much on the weak side, and then the second trough on Thursday is a lot stronger, but also a lot further north, so not in a position to bring us much moisture. So as we look at the precipitation maps, it's going to be a little underwhelming, especially compared to some early model projections from last week that showed this being a more significant rain event. Showery weather will affect most of the region Tuesday through Wednesday night, but will be steadiest and heaviest across the Sierra with really not a whole lot elsewhere. Most foothills and mountains of central California will receive between 1/2 and 2 inches of rainfall, with less in the valleys and any of those 1 to 2 inch amounts really just confined to the typical wetter areas of the Sierra. And most of Southern California will receive less than 1/4 inch of rainfall, with some areas potentially staying dry entirely. The snow level will be around 8,000 feet for this event, with a little bit of snow across the high Sierra, but it's a pretty warm system in addition to being on the weak side. So while it's a nice change of pace from the current hot stretch, this system won't do a whole lot in terms of moisture. We will definitely see a continued cooling trend. Here's a look at the forecast highs by Thursday. We'll see the valleys drop back into the upper 60s to mid-70s, the coolest we've been in several weeks, but still only getting us to right around or just a touch below average for this time of year. Minimum humidity will also increase to mainly well above 30% away from the deserts Tuesday through Thursday, with a deep marine influence likely developing. However, this more unsettled pattern does not look poised to last long. By Friday and Saturday, another ridge of high pressure looks likely to build in from the Pacific, though not as strong as the current ridge. However, as troughing shifts into the interior west, we'll likely see offshore winds develop late this week as well. In fact, Santa Ana wind conditions are looking likely Friday and Saturday. Most indications favor a weak event with a low potential for a more moderate strength event. The offshore winds and building high pressure will bring significant warming Friday and Saturday. Temperatures will again rise 10 to 20 degrees above normal by next weekend, with valley highs well into the 80s once again. Here's a look at the forecast highs by Saturday. And we'll see much drier air work into the region as well. Minimum humidity will drop mainly into the single digits and teens away from the San Joaquin Valley from Friday through the upcoming weekend. Looking at fuel moistures, we are, of course, near or below record dry dead fuel moistures across just about all time lag classes and over just about all of the region. Just truly exceptional numbers for this time of year, with the only saving grace being that most of our fuels do still remain in the live category. We will see significant increases in dead fuel moisture with the cooler and wetter pattern this week, but will likely go right back into sharp drying trends by the end of the week as warm and dry offshore flow develops. A large grass fire will remain possible this afternoon as warm and dry conditions and record low dead fuel moisture continue amidst steadily curing low elevation grasses. The cool and humid conditions will cause the large fire threat to become very low Tuesday through Thursday. However, the warming and drying trend from Friday through the weekend will again bring potential for grass fire activity in the low elevations. And while most fuels remain live and unreceptive to fire activity, large fire potential may even become locally moderate to high in those cured grasses on Friday and Saturday, depending on the strength of offshore winds and how much moisture is received this week. So that will be something to keep a close eye on in the coming days. That's it for today's webcast. Thanks for joining us. The next one will be on Wednesday, April 1st.